Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Thunder Today YouTube channel. I am your host, Dylan Hibbard, and in today's video, we are going to dive into what has gone with the past weekend with the OKC Thunder. The Thunder have lost 2 in a row over the weekend. We'll dive into these losses. We're going to talk about the injury report and just really when we can expect these guys to be back and try to get this Thunder team back to fully healthy. And then towards the end, we'll talk about some possible guys I think the Thunder might need to kind of give some calls on and possibility of us making some trades towards the trade deadline. We'll talk about that and more. But before we get into it, I want to give a huge shout out to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring today's video. You guys can use this QR code right here, scan it. You can get more information on it, but we'll talk more about Underdog Fantasy as we get into this video. But want to give a huge shout out to Underdog Fantasy and a big thank you for sponsoring today's video. But let's first dive into the Pacers-Thunder game from Friday night, and the Thunder take the 3-point loss, 117-114, to a really bad Pacers team. And this was a game that really, out of the 2 losses over the weekend, this one was a bit more like we needed the win more than the Raptors one we'll talk about in a second. This game was one where Shai gave you one of his best games of the entire season. 47 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. And he was just shooting the lights out, and he just looked absolutely amazing. And 3 points away from a 50 bomb, and we still lose that game. And you can shout out Chet as well. Chet had 25 and 13, but outside of Chet and Shai, it really felt like nobody was out there on the offensive side being able to do anything. It felt like if Shai or Chet wasn't shooting the ball, then it was pretty much a lost cause, and you might as well get back on defense. And that's just something that can't happen with this Thunder team. Even if we are down 7 guys, and I understand that we don't need to overreact to these too much because at the end of the day, the Thunder do need to get healthy, and that's the biggest thing from these 2 losses is the Thunder just need to be healthy, and once all their guys play, we're not going to have to worry about this as much. But whenever you do have a team, even if you are out 7 guys, you still have Shai and Chet. Shai's probably going to win MVP. Chet's in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. You just still go out there and beat an Indiana Pacers team that has 10 wins, is without Tyrese Halliburton, and it just doesn't happen. Jarris Walker has a career night with over 20. You have Andrew Nembhard and Pascal Siakam out there giving buckets out there, and it just really sucked to see that. And the Pacers they outplayed the Thunder at this, and even when Shai was getting buckets, it just felt like the Pacers were stopping any chance the Thunder had of coming back, and they really just kept control of what they could do. And at this point, it's just a matter of how can the Thunder stay afloat right now, because at this point, we were really just needing to focus on keeping that 1 seed overall, because now after this Raptors loss last night, we're up to 10 wins or 10 losses already. So we really just need to focus on getting that healthy, make sure we have the 1 seed throughout the entire playoffs, and everything else will take care of itself. But this was just a really tough loss for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and at the end of the day, it's just one of those that you really should have won, especially when Shai's dropping 47, 4 and 4 on insane efficiency, and Chet gives you 25 and 13. Those are the games you have to win, and when you don't, that's just a tough look and something you really don't want to have to continue to worry about as a Thunder fan. And then we'll talk about the second loss the Thunder took last night. The Thunder took a 2-point loss. So they took a 3-point loss against the Pacers and a 2-point loss against the Toronto Raptors. So even though these are losses, they're right here. It's just we don't have that personnel late in games when you're missing so many guys to go out there and compete when there's 4 minutes left in the ball game and it's a back and forth game. We just don't have the guys out there right now that you can really rely on when you want to. And this was a game where Shai didn't drop an insane amount of stats. He had 24-6. He had 3 stocks out there. Chet Holmgren gave you a chance to go out there. Lou Dort actually had a really good game, nearly 20 points from him. Aaron Wiggins gave you 11. Kenrich Williams gave you double digits. But at the end of the day, it's just another loss, and it doesn't matter who did what on this. It's just another loss in a game that you should really have. You had the chance to get multiple shots up towards the end of the game, and it just didn't happen. So this is another loss that is going to be tough to swallow, and now everybody's going to start questioning it because you are the best team in the league. You're the defending champs. People are going to start talking, and I think we really do need to start talking about certain players. And when it comes to the trade rumors, as we'll talk about later before we get into it. But I really do think there could be some moves that the Thunder might need to consider doing because teams have gotten better and the Nuggets are looking really, really good at this point, even without Nikola Jokic. The Thunder might have to make some moves, and we might have to move on from a certain somebody that I'll bring up. So it's going to be a tough time around the trade deadline. The Thunder will have to figure out, do they go for it and try to trade for somebody, or do they sit back and just hope that being healthy is enough for this team? But I think you really have to look at yourselves in the mirror and think that you kind of really need another offensive player on this team when J-Dub's kind of trying to get back with his wrist and trying to figure things out. You have Shea, you have Chet. Chet's not always the most consistent offensive player you're going to have. With AJ Mitchell out, you don't have that. You might have to go out there and look at another offensive guy that can play really good defense, and we'll talk about that a bit more as we get into it. But once again, this is just another really tough loss that the Thunder took, and we can't continue to have that because we're at the point now where if we continue to lose, we're getting to the tougher part of our schedule. We got to start winning before the Spurs and the Nuggets catch up, and there's a possibility that we don't even have the number 1 seed in the Western Conference playoffs. Fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all of the action. Playing Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Get your picks right, you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. This week on Underdog, I was looking at this Thunder Raptors game, and I selected Shea for lower than 32.5 points and Chet for higher on a double-double. Download the app today and use promo code BASKETBALLFAN to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That is promo code BASKETBALLFAN. Underdog, make picks, win money, must be 18 years or older to play.
Must be 18 plus. 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska. 19 plus in Colorado for some games. 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia. And present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/play and get terms DFSTML for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 helpline at 1-878 or text HOMI 467-369.
All right, now let's talk about some of the injury reports and update for the Thunder. Obviously, that is the biggest thing for this Oklahoma City Thunder team is just trying to get everybody healthy and back out on the court. And I think the biggest thing right now is in this game last night against the Raptors, we didn't have Cason Wallace. We didn't have AJ Mitchell, Alex Caruso, Isaiah Hartenstein, and J-Dub, Jalen Williams. So that's 5 guys right there that will consistently get playing time and are some of your 5 better players in the entire rotation. So that does suck. We did get Aaron Wiggins back for this game against the Raptors, and he played decently well, just not good enough for the win. But looking at the injury report for the upcoming week, it looks like Cason Wallace was just taking a day off. It just looked kind of like something was bothering him, so he took the day off against the Raptors. He should be good to go as we get into this week against the Pelicans and teams like that. You also have AJ Mitchell, Caruso that are questionable still for Tuesday's game. I'm not sure if they're going to be ready, but it looks like that AJ Mitchell and Caruso should be ready by the end of this week to get back out there, which will be huge, especially AJ Mitchell on the scoring side of things like we talked about. And as we know, J-Dub will be out for a little while, and we still haven't heard much on Isaiah Hartenstein. Seems like they're really being careful with Hartenstein, just taking it very slowly, especially it being a calf injury, because you know what happens. You can ask Tyrese Halliburton, one little wrong move, and that could be not only the end of the season, but at some people's points, it could be the end of their career because they're just not the same after it. So hopefully Thunder are taking precautions, but hopefully we can see Isaiah Hartenstein back out there sooner rather than later. So we're hoping by the time we get towards the All-Star break here in about a couple of weeks and we can get on the other side of that, we should pretty much have everybody back, maybe besides a J-Dub. And we're really looking forward to getting on that second part of the schedule on the other half of the break. But we also have a lot of big games coming up in the near future. Obviously, the big one is on February 1st when we go into Denver, where it looks like Jokic will be back for that game. So that's going to be a big one for the Thunder, especially if they don't have J-Dub or Hartenstein back. That's going to be a very hard game to go into Denver and win. So that's a big one, and we have a lot of big games coming up. And right now, we just really need the Thunder to get healthy and get everything going as we continue along this long season. But we'll now talk about some of the trade candidates that I think the Thunder could look at possibly getting in. I've talked about a lot of Trey Murphy from the Pelicans. I think he's one of those guys that will fit right in exactly what we need, a defensive guy who can guard multiple positions, but he is so good on the offensive end as well, and I think that's really what we're looking for. I think we need more offense than anything because our defense is perfectly fine when you have Chet, you have Wallace, Dort, and all these guys. I think we need a little bit more offense at this point because I think that's kind of our weakest spot on the two sides of the ball. And I think another thing that a lot of people or I see some people talking about a possibility of trading is Ayo Dosunmu from the Chicago Bulls. He's a guard that can handle the ball. We kind of need another ball handler and somebody that we can have another guy scoring outside of Shea and AJ Mitchell on the guard side of things. And he's an interesting little person to look at, a guy that he's also pretty above average defender, so you're not taking away from the defense side of the ball with him as well. But those are two guys right now that I think the Thunder should really look at, is a Trey Murphy and an Ayo Dosunmu. Ayo would probably be the cheaper one of the options depending on what they're asking for. I'm sure Ousmane Dieng will probably be, if the Thunder do make a trade towards the deadline, Ousmane Dieng is probably going to be in one of those deals at some point, and I think he's really going to be the one that gets traded off if we do. But I think if you look at it, I don't think the Thunder will do it, but it's a very interesting idea that I think I wouldn't even mind if the Thunder had to include Lou Dort and some picks, Lou Dort, Ousmane, and a couple picks for Trey Murphy. I think Trey Murphy gives you basically the same exact defense for Lou Dort, maybe a little bit less, but nothing noticeable, and especially with this team you won't notice. But Trey Murphy's just so much more consistent and better on offense to me than Lou Dort is. So I know the Thunder probably won't do it because everybody loves Lou Dort and he's an Oklahoma City Thunder fanatic and everybody loves him. But I think just the way he's so inconsistent with the offensive side, I think if you could do a Lou Dort, Ousmane Dieng, and a couple of picks for Trey Murphy, for me, I think that's a no-brainer, and I think you pull the trigger on that. It's just a matter of, will Sam Presti actually do that come trade deadline? Do we see an Ayo Dosunmu? You guys will have to let me know that down below, and let me know what you guys think of. Who do you think the Thunder should trade for? Do you think one of those two guys, maybe a guy I didn't mention? You'll have to let me know that down below. As we get closer to the deadline, we'll talk more about trade stuff for the Oklahoma City Thunder. But that'll be it for me today, guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.